Okay, so put your gloves on and let's get ready to dye our shirts. Okay, so we are going to start with our spiral. And if you remember from when we dyed it, there are 6 sections on a spiral, and the way to dye it basically is that you put your dye on opposite sections of the spiral. So we're going to start with our bright yellow. Today we have a different rack than we had in the last video, but really any rack works. You just put your shirt down on it, and then you're going to squeeze your dye as if you were coloring in the shirt, and in this case coloring in the sections. And then we're going to do some orange. And again, just putting it on the opposite section of the spiral. And then finally, we're going to do some pink on the remaining sections of the shirt. And then once you're done with one side, you can flip it over and do the other. And then once that's done, we put the shirt back in the bag. If you don't have a rack like we do, you can simply hold it in one hand while squirting the dye on. And that's how we do a spiral. Once you're done dyeing a shirt, we recommend that you wipe your hands with a paper towel so that the dye on your gloves doesn't get onto the next shirt. Okay, so the next shirt that we are going to do is a bullseye. So the way to dye a bullseye is to dye each individual section the color that you want it to be. We're going to start out with some blue on the top. And then we're going to make this one blue. And then we're going to make this one blue. Next, we're going to go in with some yellow. As you can see, when we put the yellow on, it mixes a little bit with the blue to make green, which is something to keep in mind because the colors do mix. Colors such as blue and orange, or red and pink and green, basically colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel, tend to not mix very well together and make brown. Finally, we are going to use some pink. And then again with the bullseye, we are going to flip it over and dye the other side. And then we are going to take our bag and put our shirt in it. Then again, we are going to wipe our hands down with our paper towel. And then we are going to wipe our rack down so that the dye on the rack does not get onto our next shirt. Okay, so finally we are going to do our polka dot. Now polka dot is a nice one to have a rack for because it means that you can just lay it out like so to put the dye on. We are going to start with some pink and we are going to put it onto the shirt like so that it's at the little bunches of fabric where we've put the rubber bands on. Then we're going to do the same thing to the rest of the polka dots with some yellow. And then we're going to take another color, in this case blue, and just squirt it around the shirt where there's still some white. So you don't need to turn the polka dot over in the same way that you did for the last two, so we're just going to put it in the bag. That is how you dye your tie-dye shirts, and we'll see you when we rinse them.